Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to Uncut Faith. We got a bunch of crazy people here with us tonight. We're excited to jump in and talk about life with everyone. We've got a lot of just cool things we're going to do. We got some hot takes going to be taking place. We have a Papa John's gift card if we have enough people online to win it, because you have to be live to be able to win the Papa John's gift card.
Yes.
Or
don't add us. Don't at us 3 weeks from now and try to get a free gift card.
Like, where's my gift card?
But yeah, so we're gonna be jumping in here and taking off in a little bit. Chase, you've got some hot takes you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, we'll get the hot takes first, but I wanted to share kind of one of the viral videos of the week.
Yeah.
I'll jump into that first. And I was telling you guys a little bit about this just before we stepped on, but there was an entire school board that ended up having to resign from the school board because they were on it wasn't Zoom, it was some sort of public meeting, but they logged on early in order to talk about the agenda and what they were going to do. And then they were kind of wrapping things up. And then one of the ladies mentioned something about parents. Oh, because they do at one point open up to the public in order to make a statement. And apparently one of the school board members got called out on social media. And so she pauses for a minute. She goes, are we alone? She goes, I'll tell you what. And she used a couple explicatives and said, I will come at you, talking to her school board members. And what they didn't realize is they were not alone. And somehow they had launched it live to the public and had been live. And so the problem is that's not where it ended. They then kind of started to banter as to, so this is in California where schools are not quite open yet.
Wow.
And they were saying how like parents want us just to open so we can babysit their kids. And one guy mentioned the fact that the parents wanted their kids out of the house so they could smoke marijuana. And so it went viral pretty quick. And then like one of the ladies then gets this message. She goes, oh, somebody said we're actually live. And then the whole screen goes down and the feed dies. And that was the end of
it. Chaos. That is not a good moment right there.
Oh, man. So, yeah, it's just really interesting about how anything you do is going to get caught on camera at this point, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Chase, how have you been caught in camera?
Man, well, I had a picture that popped up on Facebook today when I had a Fu Manchu and an afro wig. So that was exciting.
Oh, nice. You're like, I just need this stuff to keep me humble, you know?
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Kelly, we have an associate, called me out on some pictures I had in college. She posted on one of our workspaces today. And probably the best part about that picture is I had my phone was a flip phone, obviously, and I had the belt clip, so it was like clipped onto my side. Oh man,
it was awesome. I saw it. Nice. Go Kelly.
Yeah, she's always there.
She's like, I just want to throw this out there. Right. Just throw it out there. Just get out to the world. Right.
So I guess we didn't introduce our guests. So for those of you that don't know, I'm Chase. That's Brian. Brian's out at Pathway Community Church working with you.
Who's Brian?
Byron. Sorry, I had something in my throat. Like I said, Brian. That's crazy.
Did I hear his name wrong?
Yes.
I'm not sure who that is. Oh, okay.
Byron is from Pathway. I work with young adults at the campus of Greater Fort.
And you're Chandler?
Pete Chandler. Yep. That's what my friends call me. Working with young adults on the campus of Purdue, Fort Wayne. And we have these two lovely ladies with us today. They are Rosie and Althea. We'll get to your guys' story in just a minute, but give us like a 30-second cliff notes of who is Rosie, and then Thea, if you want to go after that.
Cool. Yeah. So Rosie is currently a senior at PFW. And
speaking in third person.
Yes. And Rosie, no. Yeah, and so I'm a senior and studying biology, hoping to eventually do something in the medical field. But yeah, even more than that, just love Jesus and I'm just super excited for all the things he's doing. And yeah, have just totally been changed by him. And I'm excited to share some of how that's happened tonight.
Cool.
Yeah. And I'm Thea, and I'm a junior here at PFW, and my major is human services. And yeah, super excited to share tonight just what the Lord's been up to. And yeah.
Cool. So we'll get to know you a little bit more. I feel like a good way to get to know somebody is by chatting through some unpopular opinions. So we're moving on to one of my favorite segments of the show. It's called Hot Takes. So hot takes, those you don't know, are just opinions that you might have that are unpopular. And I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Brian or
Jesus claim to fame, y'all.
Feel free to pipe in at any time. But the first one is Thanksgiving food and or holiday food are overrated or not that great. Thoughts on that one?
This could be controversial. I feel
Yeah,
like.
that's the point.
Well,
that's why it's here.
Yeah.
But it just depends. Like,
That's honestly what I was gonna say.
Like-
yeah.
do you really like pumpkin pie? That's a question.
Yes.
I don't.
Doesn't like
I
pumpkin
don't, but I
pie.
still eat it.
Yeah, I pretended I liked pumpkin pie until I was about 17.
I'm supposed to like
I was like,
this.
this is not good. I don't you like
I
pumpkin
live for the Dairy Queen pumpkin pie blizzard.
pie? I just can't. I don't know.
I've never had it. I don't know.
You've
I
never
don't-
even had it, Rosie?
No, I haven't. I stick with like 2 Blizzard flavors and like that's it. I really need to branch out. But yeah, I would agree. Like I think like stuff like green bean casserole, oh my gosh. Like I would have it every week. You know,
Really? Like you love
yeah,
it? Okay.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
I agree with
But
that.
like stuffing, like I'm not a fan.
Mm.
Yeah. Like yeah, we could chuck that one out of Thanksgiving.
That's good. What about you, Byron? Any holiday foods you're not a fan of?
Not a fan of cranberry, like cranberry
Oh.
desserts, stuff like that. Like
Yeah, I've never
don't-
understood that. What is it? Is it Jello? Is it cranberry? Is it sauce?
I heard a cranberry, if you throw it against the ground, will bounce like a bouncy ball.
I really want to try that now.
the cranberry itself, or like
No, the cranberry itself, like a real
okay.
cranberry.
Oh,
I was
Those
thinking
counts.
like a dry cranberry. I'm like, no, that's not what
Yeah.
exactly. what I was
cranberry Jello is gonna bounce back up and flubber.
No.
Flubber bounces.
You can try it. Let me know how it goes for you.
Yeah, one time we did like the cranberry like string thing that you put on the tree. Like we just tried that one year. So I'm like, okay, I guess I could kind of see that. Yeah, never again. It didn't work that well.
Gotcha. Okay, so next one here. This is a fun one, I think, especially for young adults. This one came through. It said 99% of all cereal is disgusting.
I'm not a cereal person in the morning. Golden Grahams is about the only thing I like, or frosted mini wheats.
Ooh. Mm.
disgusting is a strong word.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Blanket
I like
statement.
a good old classic Honey Nut Cheerios.
Okay.
I grew up really loving Captain Crunch, but besides that, I really don't have cereal that much. So
Okay.
I don't know if I'm the right person to ask this question to.
Yeah. I'm really weird. I don't like cereal with milk. Like I'll eat it dry.
Oh.
Like super weird.
Okay.
But I don't like I just hate it when it gets like soggy and stuff.
Are you
so-
4 years old?
Yeah, basically,
That's my 4-year-old's way of doing things. I'm just,
that's my snack.
So my 7-8-year-old daughter will eat oatmeal dry. With
How do you do that
Like,
without
she just
gagging?
takes the packet and dumps it in a bowl and then eats it with a spoon.
You're like,
I mean, I guess
all right.
you can do that.
I feel like that would be so dry.
yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
that would be like eating flour.
Yeah.
suck
yeah.
all the moisture out of your mouth.
I know. Like, I mean, that could be a game. Like, you could like eat like a packet of oatmeal and see who could like say a sentence or.
Is that like
Right.
bringing back the cinnamon challenge?
Oh gosh.
Or the crackers. Isn't there like a
Yeah,
if you just
yeah.
use like saltine crackers?
Oh
Those
yeah,
are
yeah.
hard to have a lot of. Yeah.
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 So here's an interesting question. You talked about the cinnamon challenge. Before that, there was the Tide Pod challenge.
No.
guys-
Cinnamon challenge was before that.
Okay, well, let's just say there's been a lot of dumb ones between now and then.
Cinnamon challenge was dumb, but it wouldn't kill you. Well, it could kill you, but not like the Tide Pod challenge.
So here's a question. I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Are we beyond the age of dumb challenges, or do you think they're always going to be around?
I think they're going to be around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we're beyond it.
Why? Why is that? What do you think?
I just want to know who started this. Like, who did this? If you're out there, send me an email, altheashow@gmail.com, or something. I just want to know, like, who, like, if I'm being honest, I think that it was kind of like a middle school thing, and maybe it's just because it happened when I happened to be around middle school age. But I was like, did middle schoolers start this? Because that was always kind of my impression. Not to stereotype middle schoolers, I love them, but like, sometimes they think of crazy, weird ideas, and
You're like, this would fit that age group.
yeah. So I'm just like, if it's a middle school thing, then it'll probably always be around. I don't know. Yeah.
Middle school kids are not human. I'll say that. Oh, we lost you. You still there, Brian? Bye.
Yeah, I think I'm back now. I said I always thought it was a campus life director thing.
Yeah, that's for sure. Campus life directors will have kids do stupid stuff, and then it just gets posted virally.
And then they get fired.
Manual. I'm like, what?
Oh man, we used to do some crazy stuff.
Manual.
That's awesome.
Crazy games in this thing. I was trying to find one time. I was like, oh my gosh, like, are these even all legal? Like,
probably most of them aren't anymore.
Yeah.
Well, like, the original challenge was you took a siphon tube and you put a raw egg in the middle of it, and you had one person on one and one end, and you tried to blow it, and then that got outlawed because of salmonella poisoning.
That's a boring
Makes
one.
sense, I guess, you know.
I think I played that one up till last year, maybe.
Oh man.
No, I had one of our staff. I won't even say where. I knew a guy who was in youth ministry for a long time back in like the 80s and 90s, and they built an electric chair. It was like one of those old metal folding chairs that they hooked a battery up to, and then tried to see who could sit in it.
No.
Oh,
No. Like
That's the dark ages of student ministry.
Student ministry is just like, what ideas are you gonna think of? Of course, electric chair. Yeah.
I feel in youth ministry need like more sabbaticals.
Yes, like just give you time to think about.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, mental break.
All right, final hot take, which I think this is a very fitting one. It's pretty viral right now, especially on TikTok. It's been popping up here and there. The middle part versus the side part. Oh.
Okay, wait, you have it right now.
I know. That's what I thought. It was so funny.
That's so
But they
funny.
both look good.
So the thing on social media right now
Yeah.
is like that. If anybody out there hasn't seen it, it's that like if you have a side part, it's like the millennial thing, and people in Gen Z are like, guys, that's so out of style. But who cares? Like, who cares how you part your hair? It's just your hair. I don't know.
We got more
like more important things.
bigger
to
fish.
worry about. Yeah. I still have my hair parted, and normally I have it side parted. So it's kind of
So does this make me a millennial? I thought I was
Are you Gen Z?
I think so.
You're old if you're a millennial.
Yeah, you have
Yeah.
your side part, and you have ripped jeans too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the skinny jeans thing, it's like if you're wearing skinny jeans, then that's too millennial. Like millennials are wearing skinny jeans, so it's trendy. It's just a trend because it's all gonna cycle back around.
Yep.
It's just how
I'm
trends
good with skinny jeans
work.
going away. I never understood that one.
The baggy jeans.
Guys,
are more-
skinny jeans.
They are.
Especially on dudes. That needs to go away.
Yeah,
Sooner rather than later. All right. Well, we'll get right in. Thanks for playing along with that one. Yeah, the side part, middle part. I was like, I don't know if I'll ask that question or not. And then when you both logged on with the side part and the middle part,
you're like, we got to do it.
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you for explaining that. By the way, I
You're
hadn't heard
welcome.
that
Yeah,
before.
it's like this trendy thing.
I was like, which one like looks better?
Yeah. Exactly. Bigger things to worry about in life. Right.
And one thing to worry about is discipleship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Minor things. You
How's
know?
that for a transition, right?
Like, yeah, oh yeah, by the way, make disciples.
Awesome. Well, yeah, so that was one of the main reasons we wanted to have you ladies on here tonight to talk about discipleship. I know for both of you, it's been a very big part of your life for the last few years. And it kind of started with you, Rosie. So, Rosie, why don't you just go ahead and kind of share what your journey through discipleship has looked like?
Yeah. So I was thinking back to when you asked that question, like, yeah, how did it start? And I realized, we were hanging out with some really good friends of ours that are actually missionaries that came here from South Africa. And they probably, out of most of the people in our life, like, had just the most amount of fruit and just like things that we see in scripture, like they were just seeing on a daily, like casting out demons, healings, like prophetic words, miracles, so many things. And we're like, man, like we want to be seeing more of that in our lives. And so my parents actually asked them when they were talking about discipleship, they're like, hey, would you disciple us? And basically, like, they spent like 30 years just being like, Jesus, like, how did you do this? And how did it work so well? Like, you poured into these 12 dudes and these dudes changed the world. Like, we're here, we can be having these conversations because of them, you know, like without discipleship, it would have just died out. And so I think, so my parents asked them and they're like, would you guys disciple us? Like, we don't actually know that we know how to do that. And we know that we're not doing it like for other people. And so, that was kind of how my family kind of got connected with that. And then it was funny, my dad, one day, he had probably been in it maybe like a year and a half or something. And he just was like, hey, Rosie, like, do you want to go through discipleship or whatever? I had no idea what it was. I was like, oh, sure. Cool. Sounds fun. You know, I think I was like 16 or something. And I was like, man, cool. Like, another thing, you know, I'm thinking it's going to be like a Bible study or just something like that. And I'm like, hey, you know, like, always more to learn and get to know and stuff. And he's like, okay, so part of it is you're going to have to commit to then discipling someone else. And I was like, oh, shoot. Like, I'm like, man, Lord, thank you for helping me with the selfishness. Cause I was just like, oh, I'm fine. Like, I want it for me, but actually giving it away. Like, part of it was I was terrified and I really didn't feel like I was like equipped to do that. But also I was just like, man, I just kind of want it for me, you know? And I think that can be so true for a lot of us, you know, and especially just in our culture, it's very me. And we look at discipleship and it's like, man, like Jesus, he was the ultimate servant. And so like he modeled this thing that was meant to be shared. Like it's meant to be given away, like we receive it, but then we get to go give it away. And like, that is the best thing that we can actually give to other people is just ourselves. And that's actually how people transform. It's not even just like the information stuff. And that's kind of what I was expecting out of it. And was thinking, oh, I'm just going to kind of get to go through some more curriculum and get to know some more things. No, like it's the hardest thing I've probably ever done, but it's also just been the most transformative because it really just challenged and made me realize like I have all this head knowledge. Like I can spit out all the right answers. I can share all the right things, but do I actually live it? And do I actually walk out the things that I'm reading in scripture? And I was really like, I realized like, man, if I'm being totally honest, like most of the things that I see in scripture, I'm actually not walking out. And I was just riddled with fear. And I was afraid of, sharing the gospel with other people, was afraid of, reaching out to people and stuff or talking in front of people or whatever. And I was just like, man, like, so I knew I was like, man, there's more, but I don't really know how to get there. And I'm terrified and stuff. And so part of actually me joining was that I had some entrance exams that I had to do. So my dad's like, all right, I want you to get up in front of your youth group and I want you to share something about your testimony. And I was like, crap, like, no, like, man, what is this? So but I did that. And then also our friends actually they took me to a track meet and they're like, all right, you're going to go share the gospel with someone. And I was like, oh my gosh, like you people are killing me. Like, this is way out of the comfort zone, but it was really good. And I did it. And so then kind of started just that journey and oh my gosh. Like, I think one of the biggest things when I just look back and what I'm just the most grateful for about it is that I was just a huge striver and a huge performer. And whether it was school or spiritual things or relationships or whatever. Like it always needed to be perfect, or I just felt like such a failure. And I just, I had to just perform so much, and I wanted to be a doctor, and I had to do really well in that, and all these things. And I was just, though, like, when I was really honest, I was like, man, I'm exhausted. Like, why do I do this? And I would tell myself, like, you don't need to do this. Like, it's okay. But I just was like, but something in me just like, drove me to that. And I think, man, like, that's, it's not just something that was unique to me. Like, there's just so much in us that is defined by what we do. And so when we don't measure up, like, man, we take that as a personal hit to our worth and our identity. And so I think a big just cry of my heart entering in was like, okay, I'm realizing this is different, but Lord, like, I really would just want to be free. And through just discipleship, like, God, just like the power of the Holy Spirit just revealed things like, Rosie, like, you don't really believe that you're enough. And you also don't really believe that I really care that much about you, because I struggled so much in trusting him. And like, I mean, I felt like I needed to hold on to my future with an iron fist, and I got to dictate, where I go to school and what I do and all these things. And over, just through discipleship, he just was sharing with me again and again, like, Rosie, I love you unconditionally. And actually who you are has nothing to do with what you do. And actually you get to do kingdom things, and you get to go do these things because of who I am and because of how much I love you and what I say about you. And so I think I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I realized I had it all backwards. Like, I'm trying to do things to get to God's approval and to be defined by something. And God's like, nope, I want to reverse all that. I want you to get to know me, and I'm going to share who you are. And then out of that, there's just going to be all kinds of good stuff. But we get to do it together. And so I think, like, looking back, I just was like, man, like, the Lord just shared kind of where I was missing him, and also not seeing who I was very clearly, and allowed me just to receive more of his love. And then that just like, that was why, like, I struggled even just with selfishness and with not even really wanting to go give discipleship away, because, man, I wasn't really even receiving his love for me. So we can't give what we don't have. And so, like, through that, he's just like, all right, let's get out all the crap of why you're not receiving my love for you, all the lies about who you are, all the lies about who I am, being honest about those things. But then he just replaced them just with amazing truth about, like, man, you're enough for me. If it was just you just sat on your bed the rest of your life and didn't do anything, like, I still want you here. And like, you have no idea how much I care about you. And if it was just you that I came to, like, if it was just you that needed to be saved, like, I would come and I would do it. And so, like, those just blew my mind. And I was like, oh my gosh, Lord, you are so much better than I've ever given you credit for. I was like, man, like, I want to go share this. And there's a lot of just parts about, like, why, like, how Jesus did it worked. A huge part is, like, identity and who we are and who the Lord is, but also, like, learning what it means to walk out truth, like, in scripture, and to really know what we believe, as well as, like, what is the vision that God wants to give for our lives, and kind of being, like, launched into that vision. And so, so I'm just like, still just so blown away and so thankful at all that he's done. Because I'm just like, oh man, Lord, you knew I couldn't do it. You knew I couldn't rid myself of the fear and all that. Like, he was the one that shared those things with me, and showed me that. And through my dad's guidance as well, just using him, like, as a guide to bring me to greater freedom. And then I
want to pause you there just for a minute. So I know you're on a roll, but I find that really interesting, that I think a lot of times parents are there to get you to school, get you to ball practice, help you decide what college to go through, make sure you go to church. But I feel like a lot of times the spiritual conversations are saved for pastors and youth pastors. So, like, what was that like for you to do something very deeply spiritual with your dad?
Yeah, it was definitely unique, and kind of even just like, it was neat looking back. Like, it really even just kind of deepened our relationship, which makes sense. I mean, discipleship is just a very deep relationship. But I just really appreciated, like, my dad, like we were, you know, like obviously in relationship outside of that, but even just like in our discipleship sessions, like I knew it was training though. And that he was like, all right, like we're here to help you just grow spiritually and stuff. And so I think that there was sometimes a little bit of like a mind shift, like, okay, yeah, like we're still father-daughter, but we're also like discipler, you know? And I'm choosing to follow him. I'm choosing to trust him. I'm choosing to be real even when I don't want to be sometimes, you know? And sometimes it was like hard, just, sharing harder things. One thing I really appreciate about my dad and just, like that he was just like, he wasn't fazed if I would share hard things. And I think that's even just something I really appreciate, and just other parents as well. Like when they can hear the good, the bad, the ugly that we go through, because let's be real, we all go through stuff, you know, and just are like, all right, like welcome to broken humanity, you know? And so I think just that, it really showed me like, man, I can come to my dad with all kinds of stuff, not just, you know, small talk kind of stuff. Like he really is there to hear it all. And he still loves me and he still accepts me, you know, and wants the best for me. So I think that like stuck out as just something I really kind of got to know more in him and appreciated a lot. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, for sure. So kind of what I heard you say at the beginning as you were talking about your journey through discipleship was you kind of first felt like you needed to understand who God was and how you kind of see your relationship with him, how you accept love and things like that. It looked like Byron froze up, and I was like, either he's not interested or he just lost his connection. So good thing it didn't boot us out. So we'll just keep going. If he jumps back in, great. But you talked about, you felt there was a time where you were just kind of understanding yourself and understanding your relationship with him. And then at some point, you kind of turned then to giving it away, to sharing discipleship and finding somebody for yourself. At what point did that happen? You know, was that a long time? Was it a short time? And then, you know, what did that look like?
So I think it was actually, I would love to say that, I just walked out and was like, I can't wait to like give this away. But I was definitely still battling some self-doubt actually, when I was like realizing I need to be giving this away. So my dad actually, it was funny. I came in one time, I was like, Dad, I'm just praying that eventually I have more of a desire to disciple someone. And he's like, Rosie, like, that's what you signed up for. And like, so like, when you're vacuuming the floor, you don't pray like, oh Lord, would you please like give me more of a desire to vacuum the floor? No, you just do it, you know? And so it was a good kind of butt kick moment to be like, all right, Rosie, again, get off yourself and it's time to go give it away. And so that's when I really was like, man, I'm actually not being obedient right now because I'm not giving this away. So I need to go do that. And so I actually met Esther. Then a little bit after that, we started getting together and started discipling her. And it was actually through her that I met Althea. And she's like, hey, like there's this awesome friend that I have. And I think like she might be, it might be really cool to disciple her. And so that's then when we met for the first time, actually at a school or like a student org fair at school.
Okay. So you guys weren't even necessarily friends.
No.
It was through a mutual friend that said, wow, I think Althea could really benefit from this. So then Thea, tell me about like, what was kind of your perception of discipleship or maybe even your faith journey before you met Rosie?
Yeah. So I like grew up in the church, and I'd always heard the term discipleship kind of thrown around, but I never really experienced it full on myself. And I knew this would have been sophomore year of college. And I knew Esther had been being discipled, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. Didn't really think much of it until I started to see in Esther's life, like, man, she was really changing for the good. She was becoming even more like Jesus, and that really intrigued me. I saw fruit in her life, even more so than before. And she was a Christian before she started discipleship too. So I was just like really amazed about that. And then I was like, man, that's cool. Like, I really admire that. And then Esther introduced me to Rosie, and I started getting to know Rosie. We would meet together, and it was just pretty clear that, like, kind of in the same way that Rosie's parents saw fruit in their friend's life and asked them, hey, like, would you disciple us? Kind of in the same way I saw fruit in Rosie's life that I was like, whoa, that is like fruit like that I don't see very often. I was like, I want that. It was kind of something that we kind of coined this term of like fruit envy, where you see someone's fruit and you're like, man, that's cool. Like,
ooh,
I want to see that in my life too.
So tell me just a little bit for those that might not know. We're not talking about apples and oranges here, right?
Yes,
Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, so when we talk about fruit, the Bible talks about fruit in terms of spiritual fruit. So it's kind of like it's a metaphor of just as a tree, like a fruit tree, grows and it's nourished and gets the sunlight it needs and all that stuff, it starts to grow fruit, right? So as we grow in our relationship with the Lord in the same way, we receive from him, we receive his love, and we just get to know him more and learn more about who we are. We start to see fruit, quote unquote, in our lives. And that fruit can look like discipling other people, and
it can be like internal things. So like when we talk about like the fruits of the Holy Spirit, like love, joy, peace, like all those good stuff, like it can be things inside you. It can also be external things. So like some of the things that I mentioned earlier, like casting out demons, like healing the sick, more like things where we're seeing the Holy Spirit work out of us to just demonstrate his power, as well as even things like experiencing persecution or serving the poor. Like we are called to, like for the poor to know our first name. Like I was so close to Jesus's heart. And so those are kind of the things that even we look at in our own lives and we're like, man, how am I doing on those? And am I seeing that outflow of what God is doing? Because I think, again, we can know about it, we can talk about it, but when push comes to shove, do our lives actually demonstrate that?
Yeah, good. So Thea, so what kind of fruit, what kind of things were you seeing in Rosie or Esther that you just felt like, wow, I need that in my life?
Yeah, I definitely saw a lot of internal fruit in both of them. They just carried around a lot of joy and love, and they were very solid in their identity. And so I think that is a lot of internal fruit of, man, I know who I am. I'm filled with joy and kindness and boldness and confidence just for what God has done and just who he says I am. And then also that external fruit Rosie was talking about of, man, we're seeing them step out and prophesy over people and pray for people for them to be healed. So just those are just a couple of examples, but I saw that. And in the way that even Rosie, just as we barely knew each other, she was just treating me like she showed me the love of Christ in a way where she's like, hey, I care about you. Like, I see you, asking me just really awesome questions of trying to get to know me, just surface level stuff. Yeah. But also the deep stuff of like, hey, I really want to like help you if I can, pray for you. And then as we started to, just get closer, and started talking about like the topic of discipleship and like, what even is that? What does that look like? Oh, good. Byron's coming back on.
Hey, Byron's back.
Yes, I'm on my cell data and just using that instead with my phone.
Okay.
Comcast crashed, it sounded like.
It did. They sent me a message in the middle of it. It all of a sudden pops up, says, your router is experiencing technical difficulties. We're going to reset it.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like,
Okay.
You're like,
what are the odds of that?
Dang.
dang it.
Okay.
So
Thea, so then you started having some conversations with Rosie, and you kind of started walking through discipleship. And you don't have to answer this question if you don't want, but I'm going to ask the tough question. What were some of the things Rosie talked about that she just saw in herself being selfish and not real certain in her faith? What were some of the things you saw in yourself at the beginning?
Yeah, I definitely saw a lot of fear in my life, and I don't think I realized it at first until, I just started talking about things with Rosie of like maybe behaviors I was doing that I didn't like, or just ways that I approached people. Like I see Rosie and Esther going up to strangers and asking and giving them a word that the Lord had told them for that person. It's like, that would terrify me. Like I'm really afraid of what they might think or whatever that was. So for me, I just identified, man, there's a lot of fear that's actually inhibiting me from living like Jesus is calling me to and actually obeying what he commands his children to do. And I also, just started to realize I wasn't really solid in my identity. Like I knew the stuff of like, hey, I'm forgiven. But when I took a look at actually how I was living my life, I wasn't really living like I was forgiven. And I wasn't really living like there wasn't shame on me, so just from past sin and mistakes. And so I started to realize, like, I think that there's actually more. Like I was in a good like Christian walk before this, and I was kind of content with it, but actually there's more. Like we can always go deeper with the Lord, which is a beautiful thing about him, is that he's infinite. And so he always has more for us, and more just about him that we get to learn about. And so I started to realize, like, I don't need to kind of settle for this just surface level Christianity. I can go deeper. Like he calls me to that, and discipleship is a really great avenue. And it's one that Jesus, he exampled for us and he called us to do. So it's pretty clear that is one of the primary ways that we're going to be able to get to know him more and do it together too. I think the cool thing about one cool thing about discipleship is that it's not just about the disciple. Like it's not just about me. It's about me being transformed so that I can go then help someone else be transformed, so that they can go help someone else be transformed. Yeah. It's multiplication and it's multi-generational. So I guess to answer your question, sorry, that kind of got
perfect. Nope, love it.
Yeah, I saw a lot of fear in my life, of fear of man, of what other people thought of me. Along the journey have seen a lot of transformation in that, and just it's so cool to see what the Lord has spoken to me and over that, and just how I've seen little ways in my life and big ways too, like everything in between, of how much fear was dictating over me, and how actually stepping out of that has allowed me to love other people better and know him better, because I'm not afraid of whatever I was afraid of before.
That's great. So you guys mentioned, I think Rosie mentioned discipleship sessions. So obviously discipleship is about relationships with each other, but you've been very intentional as well in sessions. What does like a session look like for you guys? What does that look like?
Yeah. So what's cool is like we want both parts. So like we have our more like our sessions, which are more like kind of more training. And then we also have like where we meet on like off weeks. And sometimes we're just like, hey, grabbing coffee, like how's life going? Like, cause definitely like, man, like we don't want to just be like, okay, I'm only here for your spiritual stuff. And then like, I don't really know you as a person. Like, oh my gosh, no, like we want to be all in, and just in every way. And so having both of those components is huge, because we also do need the training of where it's like, man, we see Jesus with his disciples. Like he was doing teaching, but he was also doing on the job stuff as well. He's like, all right, I'm healing people. I'm doing these things. I'm going to bring you into that and stuff. So yeah, our sessions, like we call it gracious uncertainty, because like we'll have like kind of a plan, but then man, the Holy Spirit can also just totally wreck that plan too. And he's done that multiple times, but it's always so good. And so kind of just like having some things that we're training in or tools or whatever, but also that, man, if he just wants to do something totally different, that we can. So it looks different. A thing that we definitely do a lot though is like, I want Althea to be teaching back things, because I'm training her to also go train and give that away. And so it's also sometimes, again, it can be so kind of student teacher, and we're like, man, like you actually learn the best when you're actually doing it and practicing it. And so that's like a huge thing, in that we see Jesus doing so well, is that he was always having his disciples like a part of this stuff and having them do stuff, as well as he's like, you go feed the people. Like, why are you asking me? Like, you got this, like, and so he was great at that. And so I think that like, and just even something practical, like if like, for anyone out there watching, when you're thinking about that, like, man, not again, just doing it to consume more information, but like, man, how am I actually practicing, just practically living out some of these things, and finding people that will bring you into their life and will help kind of demonstrate those things and walk with you as well.
Yeah, I think also just to add on to that, like another way of when we're not doing maybe specific sessions, we also get the chance to serve together and do the things we talk about in the sessions together. And I think that's just a beautiful way. Like Rosie said, Jesus exampled that perfectly. And instead of just consuming all the knowledge and being like having all the right answers, that's like building your doctrine is a beautiful, good thing, and you have to have it. But if like, it's also just as important to go.
Right. If it all stays up here,
yeah,
it's
kind of defeats the purpose in a way.
Yeah, that's great. That's good. So tell me this, Byron.
No.
We lost him again. That's all right. So let's say somebody's watching right now and they're like, wow, like I've never really had someone disciple me before. Or I've never like even discipled someone. Like, how would you recommend getting started into that journey either way?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think like one, like going back to the source, like again, where all of what we've done is just come from is like, we joke around, it's red letter plagiarism. We're just like, again, how do we copy as best we can what he did because it works so good? So I think that sometimes we feel like we got to get like secret formulas or things. And it's like, no, we just need to go back to the Son of God himself that I think knew what he was doing, So I would even just, encourage you guys, like just looking at like, man, kind of removing even what you thought it was and letting kind of like relearning like what he did and realizing it was so much, about action and just like deep change and like also speaking the truth in love. And I think that's another just practical thing. Find people that will tell you the truth, that don't just tell you what you want to hear, because otherwise like you're not really going to grow. And so I think, finding people that you see fruit envy in, and you're like, man, this person's walking in more freedom and more fruit than I am. Like, I really want to learn from them. And will they bring me into what they're doing? Oh,
so we're just having a heck of a night tonight. Here we are. May just wandered into the room. We don't know why she's here, but that's okay. Say hi, May.
Hi.
Yeah, that's great. So what I'm hearing you're saying, and I think it's pretty rare that like your dad approached you, right? Usually it's going to have to be you reaching out to someone and saying, hey, I need this in my life.
Yeah. I mean, I wish there was more of just people that are like, all right, like just come follow me, like we see Jesus doing. But I think, just being really intentional to be like, who in my life am I jealous in a good way of their life? And I can really just grow and learn from as well. And who's doing this thing as close to Jesus did it as I can find. Do you have another?
No, I think that, and also if you don't have someone in your life that is like that, we encourage you just to pray bold prayers to the Lord. Like, Lord, would you bring someone in my life who is going to be able to disciple me in a way, and then would you be preparing the people who you want me to disciple someday too? So just having that as a constant prayer on our hearts, I think, is really important, because the Lord wants it. Obviously Jesus modeled it. He wants us to do that. He commanded us to. And so it's not all just us like seeking it out. It's not just us like trying so hard of like, I gotta get the perfect discipleship. It's the Lord, and he gets to lead ultimately the whole journey. So I think praying for all of that is really important too.
Definitely. That's great. So you're saying, who do you have in your life who you feel like could be a Paul to your Timothy, right? Or who's somebody that I feel like I can learn from? And then at the same time, also, who is somebody who I feel like I can also pour into? Maybe they're at a different stage in life, or even maybe just a different stage spiritually. I feel like that's something I've learned over the past few years as I don't see almost any encounter as an accident or a one-off encounter, if that makes sense. So if I see somebody and meet them somewhere, generally speaking, if I see them somewhere else later, that's usually my cue. I need to hit them up and have a conversation with them. Because, like you said, if you bathe everything in prayer, if you continue to ask God, who are some people in my life who I can be pouring into as well, I think God will bring those people into your life. You just have to be willing to see it. I had you guys know Jake, or if you watched the show last week, Jake Johnson was on, and he actually wrote me a thank you letter is how it started. He was brand new on staff with YFC, and he was going on a trip, and because he was new on staff, I mean, if you guys ever on board somewhere, there's usually like a lot of lingo and things that happen within an organization, and it's hard to get caught up on. And so I just kind of said, hey, Jake, here's some things going on, kind of got him up to speed for this trip. And then it was after the trip, he put a thank you card in my mailbox. This was a handwritten thank you card by an adult man, right? Yeah, Jake's a good dude anyways. But I saw that as, you know what, this is an opportunity for me just to reach out to Jake. I mean, who does that? Maybe he needs something. So I had breakfast with Jake, and that started, about once a month. Him and I would end up grabbing breakfast and, just talk about life. And so, I love what you said, Thea. Like, start praying, God, who's somebody, who I feel like can pour into me, but then at the same time, God, who is somebody in my life who I just happened to run into a couple times? Like, are you trying to show me something here? Because I think chances are they are. I think God's saying, here's somebody that I think could really benefit from you guys, walking through life together.
Definitely. It's so good.
So we're kind of wrapping up the show here. Byron, if you've got anything to add in, feel free.
I keep popping in and out. I mean, the stuff I've heard has been really good. I love the whole mentoring discipleship process. That's something that is big on my heart. I think the church needs to do more of. We do a lot of Bible studies, come to this program, come to that program, but the life on life stuff, we don't do a really good job of that. And to see two young adults doing that and hearing that story, that's just amazing, because that's how the church is going to really grow, and how people are going to come to know what it means to be a Christ follower and to really experience God's love as life on life mentoring and discipleship. And the fact that you're desiring to reproduce yourself by taking on someone else and then having them take on someone else, that's how it's done. But it's just, that's hard. That's not nearly as easy as going to I'm going to go to a once a week study on Acts. The church is doing that. And, or I'm going to be a part of this thing or that thing. I mean, we need community. We need groups. We need that to be around other people. But at the same time, to put it into actual practice, we have to actually be mentoring and discipling others. And, just having other people invest, you're investing in others and they're investing in you, like you're talking about. So that's great stuff. And, if that continues, that's going to be what grows the church.
So Rosie or Thea, any final thoughts or any last thoughts about your journeys, discipleship, anything like that?
I would just say that it is all about the Lord, and I know we can give a lot of testimony of just how much we can just give Him praise for what He's done in our own journeys, and then just really looking forward to what He's going to continue to do, and not just with us, just the whole even looking at Fort Wayne community. It's like there are people out there who are hungry. And so I think discipleship allows you to take an honest look at how in it am I? How devoted to following Christ and living a transformed life am I? What steps am I going to take? So I guess those would just be my thoughts of, at the end of the day, it's all about Him, and we want to be more like Him. We want to know Him more, and we want to make Him known here on earth. And our life is short. It doesn't always feel that way, but it sure is. And so we want to make the most of it. And I think discipleship is a really effective way to do that.
Yeah. And I love that. And I would just share as well, like, man, I think like I would read the scriptures like before, discipleship, and just be like, is this even possible? Like, Lord, you talk about life and life abundant, but like, man, like I want that. And I don't feel like I'm living in that. And so I think I just want to affirm, like, man, like the Lord like wants so much more for you guys than even just you realize. And I think that He is just blown away even like our expectations of what we could experience and the freedom that we can experience and the fruit. And just that, man, Jesus, like He is so generous. Like here He did all this amazing stuff. And He's like, I want you guys to do even more. Like, that's how much I love you. That's how much I believe in you. And so I just think like, yeah, it's like, man, guys, like he is available and he wants to just, transform you. And he wants to just set you on fire for him. And there's nothing he's holding back from you if you really want it. And so, yeah, it's just like, man, that's just what he's shown us, like that he's just is so capable and is so much better, than we ever thought he was. Yeah. Chase your music.
So, yeah, I had kids barking again. So, I was like, I'm listening, but you guys don't want to hear my kids singing about going to bed tonight. So,
love it.
That's awesome.
May was actually singing to the cat, telling her that she was going to bed. So that's what was happening over there.
Awesome.
Yeah, so Byron, it looks like we had about 5 or 6 names. If you want to add those into your little
Yep, and I added Rosie and Athea since they're live with us, so they can win as well.
Good deal.
So let me try and share this real quick. Let's see if we can get this. I had it all set up before everything went crazy. All right, here we go. Are you guys seeing that? Or nope, you're not. Let's go add to stream. Okay, there we go.
There we go.
All right, I'm going to click spin.
Those are the ones that are currently online. Did you get Jared on there, by the way?
I think I got Jared on there.
Jacob Angela. Nope, I don't.
No Jared? All right.
No, let's get Jared on there. Perfect.
2 R's or 1 R?
Just one.
Oh, 1.
Perfect.
All right. Well, here we go. I'm ready to hit spin. And whoever it lands on will email you a $20 gift card to Papa John's. And here we go.
Ooh, you got music this time. Look at this.
Nice.
Oh, no, I got it actually working now.
Oh, yeah!
Nice. Jared, I expect you to share that.
Yes, Jared, you're buying pizza next week. So
there we go. I'll have Chase hook me up with your email, and we will send that to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Thea and Rosie. Thank you for being on the show and agreeing to be on here. But more importantly, thank you for serving the kingdom. It's incredible. I've seen the fruit in both of you as well, and it's contagious. So I appreciate you guys and appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you guys
Thanks,
so much.
Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah.
We
appreciate you guys.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, apologize for technical difficulties on my end. I don't know what is going on, but it hasn't happened before, but this is the first, so who knows?
No worries. No worries.
Anyway, hey, everyone watching online, we look forward to connecting with you more, and we'll plan on, Chase and I will get back together and talk more about what we're doing next. And thanks for joining us, and we will see you guys here soon. So take care, everybody. Bye. Bye. All right, here we go.